Ferrari's last Constructors' Championship triumph came in 2008. By 2013, they only managed 354 points, finishing third in the standings. In 2014, the hybrid era got them bad. Ferrari plummeted to 216 points and fourth place, as Mercedes and Red Bull surged ahead. In 2020, the team limped through the season with just 131 points, a shadow of their former selves. But fast forward to 2024, and Ferrari has finally fought its way back into contention with 652 points, locked in a fierce battle with McLaren for the championship, and had real chances of winning.
Today we're breaking down how did a team once known for brilliance become the laughingstock of F1?
I found 4 factors that led to Ferrari's downfall, and number 4 honestly gets hard to watch.
Ferrari's dominance in the early 2000s was nothing short of legendary. It was a time when the team was firing on all cylinders, led by an unbeatable trio: Michael Schumacher, team principal Todt, and technical mastermind Brawn. At the heart of their success was the F2004, a car often considered one of the greatest ever built. It secured 15 wins out of the 18 races during the 2004 season. Key innovations like the car's low center of gravity and advanced Bridgestone tires, developed specifically to suit Ferrari's needs, gave them an edge over rivals like McLaren and Williams. In 2009, the ban on in-season testing caught Ferrari off guard. Ferrari had long relied on unlimited private testing at their Fiorano circuit to fine-tune their cars, often gaining a significant edge in development. The switch to radically new aero regulations further exposed Ferrari's growing weaknesses. The F60, their car for that season, was absolutely uncompetitive. With just 1 win all season, the team slumped to 4th in the constructors' standings. This marked the first time since 1993 that Ferrari failed to finish in the top 3, a sobering indicator of their decline. The F14T, their 2014 car, was woefully uncompetitive. The turbo hybrid regulations introduced that year caught Ferrari off guard once again. While Mercedes revolutionized the sport with their dominant power unit, Ferrari's engines lacked power, reliability, and efficiency. The SF16H in 2016 was another step backward. Despite showing promise in preseason testing, the car suffered from poor aerodynamics and a lack of development over this season. 2019 season introduced the SF90, a car with blistering straight-line speed, but significant shortcomings in other areas, including cornering stability and tire management. The SF1000, burdened by a lack of power and aerodynamic efficiency, was a deeply flawed car. The team's struggles were compounded by a series of technical directives that effectively nullified their once powerful engine. This regulatory fallout was a turning point, as Ferrari's performance collapsed, leaving them terribly uncompetitive. Ferrari finished a shocking 6th in the Constructors' Championship, their worst result since 1980. In 2022, after several years of underperformance, Ferrari finally put together a competitive car, the SF75. However, while the car had the potential, Ferrari was unable to fully capitalize on it. Team principal Mattia Binotto admitted that the problems required a complete overhaul, highlighting weaknesses in design philosophy, leadership structure, and operational efficiency. Behind the scenes, leadership changes also played a role. The departure of Todt in 2007 and Brawn shortly afterwards left a vacuum that wasn't adequately filled. Stefano Domenicali took over as team principal, but without a strong central figure to steer the team, errors began to creep in. Most of the errors showed up in their strategy. Unlike teams like Red Bull, which have embraced cutting-edge simulation and analytics tools, Ferrari has been slow to modernize its strategy tools. Over-reliance on pre-race simulations and a reluctance to adapt to real-time data leave them trailing their more innovative competitors. The struggles continued into 2010, even as the team acquired Fernando Alonso, one of the most talented drivers on the grid. While Alonso's arrival reignited hope, Ferrari's strategic fails continued to cost them. The most infamous moment came at the 2010 Abu Dhabi Grand Prix, the season finale, with the Drivers' Championship on the line. Alonso entered the race as the points leader, but a baffling strategic decision to put him early to cover Mark Webber trapped him behind Vitaly Petrov for the remainder of the race. This tactical miscalculation handed the 2010 driver's title to Sebastian Vettel. The mid-2010s were a strange period for Ferrari. On paper, the team had a solid lineup of drivers and significant resources. Yet, the term mediocrity might sound harsh for a team consistently fighting near the front, but by Ferrari standards, these years were a clear step down. They went winless for the first time since 1993, finishing a distant 4th in the constructors' standings. This led to major shakeups within the team. Stefano Domenicali resigned as team principal in early 2014, replaced briefly by Marco Mattiazzi and then by Maurizio Arrivabene in 2015. Unlike the cohesive leadership under Todt and Brawn in the 2000s, Ferrari now seemed to operate with a revolving door of decision-makers, making it harder to establish a clear direction.
Mattia Binotto's tenure as Ferrari's team principal was marked by a combination of progress and disappointment. He took over in 2019, inheriting a team that had fallen behind in the competitive order. Under his rule, Ferrari ultimately failed to capitalize on their potential. This culminated in a disastrous 2022 season where they squandered a significant early lead in both the Drivers' and Constructors' Championships. This consistent underperformance, coupled with internal pressures and external criticism, ultimately led to Binotto's resignation at the end of the 2022 season. His successor, Fred Vasseur, brings a wealth of experience from his time with Alfa Romeo, and only time will tell how good he is. But he managed to buy Hamilton, so that says something.
After Fernando Alonso narrowly missed out on titles in 2012 and 2013, the team entered 2014 with significant hope, only to see it all unravel. But in 2015, things appeared to improve with Sebastian Vettel joining the team. Vettel's arrival brought renewed optimism and a fresh perspective. Ferrari won 3 races that year, with Vettel delivering strong performances in Malaysia, Hungary, and Singapore. However, despite the progress, Ferrari still lacked the consistency and outright pace to challenge Mercedes, who were in the midst of one of their most dominant runs in F1 history. Ferrari finished a distant second in the constructors' standings, over 275 points behind Mercedes. Vettel's 2015 wins showcased that Ferrari still had potential, and Kimi Raikkonen, while no longer at his peak, provided stability. Yet, the fact remained, Ferrari was no longer feared as a perennial title contender. Between 2017 and 2021, Ferrari experienced probably the hardest period in its history. What began as a hopeful resurgence for one of Formula One's most iconic teams devolved into a period of disarray, underperformance, and absolute chaos. The 2017 season saw Sebastian Vettel clinch wins in Australia, Bahrain, and Monaco, the latter being a particularly symbolic victory as it marked Ferrari's first win in Monaco since 2001. However, the season's promised unraveled due to a series of misfortunes and strategic blunders. The Singapore Grand Prix was emblematic of Ferrari's struggles. A first-lap collision involving both Vettel and Raikkonen, along with Red Bull's Max Verstappen, led to a double retirement, dealing a severe blow to their championship hopes. Subsequent mechanical issues in Malaysia and Japan further dashed Ferrari's title aspirations. Despite their strong start, Ferrari ended the season second in the Constructors' Championship, unable to match Mercedes' consistency. In 2018, by the Belgian Grand Prix, Ferrari appeared to have the edge, with Vettel firmly in the title fight. But critical errors sent everything down the drain in the second half of the season. At the German Grand Prix, Vettel crashed out while leading in bad conditions. Poor strategy calls, such as a conservative tire choice in key races and a loss of form in car development, allowed Mercedes to regain the upper hand. Ferrari's campaign collapsed, and Vettel's errors compounded the team's woes. Once again, Ferrari finished second. Charles Leclerc, in his first season with Ferrari, brought youthful energy and delivered standout performances. He secured memorable back-to-back victories in Belgium and Italy, the latter breaking a 9-year drought at Ferrari's home race at Monza. Yet the season was marred by internal conflict. Leclerc and Vettel clashed on several occasions, with tensions boiling over in Brazil, where the two collided and retired from the race. These incidents underscored a growing rift within the team, as Ferrari struggled to manage its drivers effectively. Ferrari entered 2021 with a clear goal: to bounce back from their disastrous 2020 campaign.
Carlos Sainz Jr. joined the team,
providing a steady hand and consistent performances that helped Ferrari climb to third in the Constructors' Championship.
Although Ferrari achieved 5 podiums and Sainz finished a remarkable 5th in the drivers' standings,
the team remained winless. The gap to the frontrunners, Mercedes and Red Bull, was still significant, and Ferrari still had to do a lot of work to catch up. The 2017 to 2021 era was a microcosm of Ferrari's modern struggles. Despite glimpses of brilliance and the immense talent of drivers, the team was hampered by strategic missteps, technical shortcomings, and internal discord. In 2022, after several years of underperformance, at the Monaco Grand Prix, Leclerc was on pole and was in control of the race. But when the rain started, Ferrari couldn't get their strategy right. The team hesitated on when to call their drivers in for their intermediate tires, and Leclerc was left out too long on slicks. Then came the defining moments of the race. Ferrari opted to double stack their cars during Leclerc's second pit stop,
bringing both Leclerc and Sainz into the pits on the same lap.
In theory, this strategy is designed to minimize time loss for both drivers, but in practice, it requires flawless timing and execution. Ferrari failed on both counts. The team was unprepared for the stack, leading to delays in servicing Leclerc's car. As Leclerc rejoined the race, he found himself behind both Red Bull drivers, Sergio Perez and Max Verstappen. His frustration was immediate, and over team radio, his exasperation boiled over. The fallout was significant. Perez went on to win the race, while Leclerc, who had started from pole and led convincingly, could manage no better than fourth. It was a crushing blow, not just for Leclerc but for Ferrari, whose strategic mismanagement cost them a potential 1-2 finish in one of the sport's most prestigious races. Ferrari's troubles continued in Hungary, a race that should have been a victory for them. The team decided to fit Leclerc with hard tires during his pit stop, a decision that quickly proved disastrous. While other teams, including Red Bull, avoided the hard tire due to its lack of grip, Ferrari persisted with it. Leclerc immediately repeatedly dropped positions and was unable to recover. All of that gave life to a classic meme of Ferrari's "we are checking" communication. Every time a driver would ask about a strategic decision, they would hear "we are checking" or "we will get back to you." One infamous example occurred during the 2022 British Grand Prix. Leclerc, leading the race, asked for a strategic update during a critical safety car period. The Ferrari pit wall's delayed and unclear response left Leclerc unsure about whether to pit, leading to a missed opportunity to cover rival drivers.
There's a cut with the engine.
We are trying to solve it. We think with the wreck we should be fine.
By the end of the race, he'd lost the lead and finished off the podium, while teammates took the win.
Carlos Sainz has also pushed back against Ferrari's strategy decisions, most memorably at the 2022 French Grand Prix. After being instructed to pit mid-battle, Sainz overruled the team and stayed out, only pitting on the next lap.
These moments show how Ferrari's lack of confidence forces its drivers to take matters into their own hands, a dynamic that shouldn't exist in a top-tier F1 team. At its core, the "we are checking" problem reflects deeper organizational issues within Ferrari. Unlike Red Bull and Mercedes, where strategy teams operate with precision and confidence, Ferrari's approach often feels disjointed.
Leclerc, despite having a good car under him, finished the season a distant second, while Sainz had his own struggles in finding consistent results.
Ferrari entered the 2023 season with high hopes after a challenging 2022. With a car that showed promise during preseason testing, drivers were cautiously optimistic that the team could turn things around. In Saudi Arabia, Ferrari's strategic flaws became evident again. The team made questionable tire choices during critical phases of the race, failing to capitalize on opportunities to gain positions. A standout low point came during the Hungarian Grand Prix. Ferrari's strategy team once again faltered, opting for hard tires on Leclerc's car, despite clear evidence that the compound was not performing well under other teams. The result? Leclerc finished outside the points, with both drivers openly questioning the team's decision-making during post-race interviews. Communication between the pit walls and drivers remained a sore spot throughout the season.
Carlos Sainz,
Known for his assertiveness on the radio, frequently had to challenge the team's decisions mid-race. Ferrari's 2023 season highlighted persistent issues that the team had failed to address for years: poor tire management, rigid strategies, and ineffective communication. With Red Bull dominating the field and McLaren and Mercedes closing the gap, Ferrari found itself slipping further behind in the Constructors' Championship. The 2024 season commenced with promise.
At the Australian Grand Prix, Carlos Sainz secured a commanding victory,
Leading a Ferrari 1-2 finish with Charles Leclerc in second place. This result marked Ferrari's first 1-2 finish since the 2022 Bahrain Grand Prix, igniting hopes of a competitive campaign. However, as the season progressed, Ferrari's performance became inconsistent. The Spanish Grand Prix highlighted these struggles, with the team lacking pace and appearing vulnerable even against Mercedes. Despite these setbacks, Ferrari demonstrated resilience and a capacity for development. A pivotal moment came at the Monaco Grand Prix, where Charles Leclerc achieved a historic victory, becoming the first Monegasque driver to win his home race since Louis Chiron in 1931. This triumph was a morale booster for both Leclerc and the team, showcasing Ferrari's potential when strategy and performance aligned. The latter part of the season saw further success. Leclerc secured victories at the Italian Grand Prix, delivering Ferrari's first home win since 2019, and at the United States Grand Prix, leading a Ferrari 1-2 finish.
Carlos Sainz also contributed
With a win at the Mexican Grand Prix, marking Ferrari's first victory at that venue since 1990. However, the season concluded with challenges.
At the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix, despite a double podium finish with Sainz in second and Leclerc in third, Ferrari fell short of clinching the Constructors' Championship, which was secured by McLaren.
This outcome underscored the need for continued development and strategic refinement. The 2024 season also marked the end of Carlos Sainz's tenure with Ferrari.
Over 4 seasons, Sainz achieved
4 victories, 6 pole positions, and 27 podiums. His departure to Williams opened the door for Lewis Hamilton's arrival at Ferrari, signaling a new chapter for the team. While the 2024 season has been a mixed bag, it feels like Ferrari is slowly building a foundation for future success. But here's the question: can Ferrari truly return to being the dominant force in F1 in 2025, especially with Lewis Hamilton at the wheel? Let me know in the comments and subscribe.